Bruce Kimball, that may be a name familiar to you, was a 1984 silver medalist in the Olympics. Bruce was involved in an accident some time back, and we are told that he was intoxicated at the time. 2 people were killed. Bruce withdrew from life because of that tragedy. He was depressed. He secluded himself in a trailer house with his father. He kept the shades drawn. He turned inward. He was feeling sorry for himself. He couldn't sleep at night. Just to pass the time, he would sit and watch television all night long until he couldn't hold his eyes open any longer. He would fall asleep from emotional as well as physical exhaustion. A close friend came to see him. And Bruce said, "I don't want to see you. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody." This friend walked in anyway, looked at Bruce, and said 3 words. "Reestablish your faith." That's all he said. Reestablish your faith. Through those words, Bruce Kimball took stock of life and became a changed man. 2 lost things today. One, a lost sheep. The other, a lost coin. A shepherd leaves 99 sheep in the wilderness in order to find 1 lost sheep. A woman loses a coin, and she lights a lamp and sweeps out her entire house until she finds the lost coin. And both the shepherd and the woman throw parties to celebrate the fact that which had been lost was now found. God is like that. There is great rejoicing in heaven over 1 lost person who is found. What wonderful good news that is, and also what a challenge to the church. There are millions of people who are hurting, who are almost beyond hope, who are wandering, frightened, and alone. Playwright Arthur Miller, years ago, gave us a classic portrait of what it means to be lost. The play was Death of a Salesman. The tragic central character was Willie Loman, the man who searched all his life but never knew who he was. We see his family being poisoned by Willie's inclination toward dreaming all the wrong dreams. Those who loved him most suffered the most. Throughout the play, Miller, however, gives us hints of how Willie's life could have turned out, the man Willie could have been. For example, he was a bitter failure as a salesman, and yet Willie was not completely without merit. He loved to work with his hands. His one masterpiece was the house steps that he had built himself. What if Willie had pursued a vocation in which he could have used the gifts he did have? He had a family who loved him. He had a reasonable amount of intelligence. His was hardly a hopeless life, and yet Willie finally kills himself, hoping by this last desperate act to give his son, a drifter, insurance money that would improve his chances for a better life. It didn't have to end that way. Things could have turned out better. Willie simply could not get it all together. He was lost. There's no better word for it. Lost like a lamb in the wilderness. There are lots of lost souls in this world. We encounter them every day. Some are young, some are old. Some live in poverty in the ghettos. Some in million-dollar condos. Some can't read or write. Others have PhDs. Short, tall, fat, skinny, debonair, dull. They are of every size, color, and family background. They share but one common characteristic. They are lost. They are confused, lonely, frightened, and they seem paralyzed to do anything about their situation. And that's the first thing we need to see. The world is filled with lost people. My wife Joan is ill. I'm sure you know that. She's been in a senior citizen facility for several months now. A few days ago, we were talking about her situation. Usually upbeat and enthusiastic, on that day, she confided in me that she felt lost. And I don't think I ever heard her use that word about herself before. She couldn't seem to find her way. We talked a while, and she finally admitted that she felt that God had abandoned her. Fortunately, since that day, she has learned to see more clearly and understand more deeply what her situation truly was. She thought, ultimately, that she had disappointed God by not being stronger in putting her faith in Him. For Joan and for you, I say to you that lost people are God's greatest concern. That is what Jesus is saying in the parables of the sheep and the coin. God's heart breaks in concern for all those who are lost. I can't help but wonder if God ever asked Himself, are all these sinful humans worth the life of my Son? Evidently they were. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Lost people are God's greatest concern. And that brings me to the final thing to be said. Lost people will be found by people who care as God cares. That's the ultimate test of our Christian commitment. It is not our perfect attendance at worship, as important as that might be. It's not how often we read the Bible, although we are people of the book. The ultimate test of our faith is how much we care about all those lost people out there. Some people, even in the church, simply don't care about people who are lost. They want to see everybody get what they deserve. I don't have an answer for the evil in this world. I do know that if we ever forget that every person, no matter how heinous his life or how miserable her circumstances, they are precious souls for whom Christ died. We sometimes forget that. Then we find ourselves in terrible trouble. We should care. We need to care. We must care. Not because it's fashionable or because we're goody-goody or bleeding-heart liberals or highly motivated conservatives. We should care and must care because God cares. There are many people who want to make sure everybody gets what he or she deserves. Those people have no idea what the gospel really is. If it were God's intent to see that we get all we deserve, what would that mean for you and me? I hope and pray I don't get what I deserve. I want mercy. We want mercy. Remember the cliche, there but for the grace of God go I? It is that ever our response to meeting someone who is lost. Some care, but some care only in a superficial kind of way. Some people don't care at all. And then there are those who care and care deeply, who want to help lost people reestablish their faith. We, all of us, should seek out the hurting people and introduce them to the great healer of hearts. On such is built the kingdom of God. If you are among the lost this morning, there is someone who can help. He seeks to give you new hope, new meaning, new joy. He is asking you to care. He is asking you to help him in rescuing the lost. You and I encounter such people every day. Some of them are our friends. Some of them are in our own families. We have a grand calling to care for the lost, for there is rejoicing in heaven whenever one who is lost is found. Amen.
Amen.